Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. The world owes me. The whole world owes me. Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. I learned at school, if you break the rules, I should tell a teacher. Always trust blindly, authority, they would never lie. Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. The world owes me. The whole world owes me. Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. I learned at school, I'm smarter than you. I have information. We will learn nothing from history. The past is obsolete.
Listening kids, I need you to all repeat after me. I am a victim. Very good. Now after me, the whole world owes me. Very good. Again, I am a victim.
Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. The world owes me. The whole world owes me. Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. I learned at school, I'm not like you. So don't you hurt my feelings. For such a heinous crime, you'll deserve to die. 'Cause words are murder. Feel sorry for me, I'm a victim. 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 Feel sorry for me,
That's Matt Finlay. That song was written by a human being, and no AI in it at all. Except he even put that together himself. So it's yeah, I love it. But it's been an oldie. Anyway, let's get on co-host. How you going?
Humans are redundant. Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Here we are.
I'm a victim. Yeah, it's a dive to the bottom. The whole country's become a dive to the bottom.
I wonder if AI will create like op shops and we'll just be on the shelves going, "Oh, look at this cute little hairy fucker."
No, we'll be completely redundant. We'll be like the
Speaking
gorillas
as the
in
op shop.
Africa, you know, some rare gorilla in a remote part of Africa. It's the last remnants of a once
Last remnants of
powerful
human-
tribe. Yeah. Well, we've got
Okay,
this great guy on today, George Kesic,
Yeah, he's
who
great.
literally is not a victim, and he's written this amazing book. It's absolutely amazing book called The Chemist Whisperer, a story of courage, compassion, and integrity in action. And there's an old saying that history is written by the victors, but in reality, history is written by those who leave a record. And in his book, George says exactly that. History rewards record keepers, and that's what he's done. So it's an amazing piece of work. And welcome to Cafe Locked Out Sunday mornings, George.
Hi.
Here he is.
How you doing,
And the only
guys?
reason
Great
he's
to
this
see you.
early, he's got to get to the Forest of the Fallen. So he's,
Yeah,
is that
he's
what's
a
going on?
busy boy. He's not stopping. So
Yeah.
that's why we're a bit early today. G'day, George.
Hey, good day. Now, first of all,
Congratulations on your tour, man.
thank you. But first, that intro was brilliant. I loved it. And the bit at the end with Zelensky, I was just cracking up laughing. That was so
Yeah,
clever.
it's great, isn't it? Yeah, that's
I love
Matt
it.
Finlay.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
look,
Melbourne boy. Lives in Port Melbourne.
Yeah, you tricked me with the 8 o'clock, the old trickaroo. You said 9, then I went to bed, and then I saw this message saying, no, it's 8 o'clock. I'm like, what? You can't do that. Nobody's going to be up at 8.
Yeah.
Some of
Well,
my
lucky
viewers,
you
I told
me.
them it was 9. I told my viewers it was 9 o'clock, and some of them said, I'm going to have to set the alarm for 9. I thought, well, that's bad. I don't know what time
Well,
you
I
get
set
up.
it for 5.
Anyway, yeah, great to be here. Back from the tour.
Great. So
I'm just getting your map up.
do you think all the work that you did running around all the chemists or the pharmacies in Australia and giving them cease and desist notices, what's the end product of it all?
Okay,
He jumped forward. He jumped us forward 2 hours. So I haven't read the last chapter. So
That's okay. Well, the last chapter is the best one, so you're okay. You're going to enjoy that. So if you were crying before, you'll be feeling good at the end of it. So, but that's what I've been told anyway. So, look, achieving. I had a troll the other day. A few trolls came on when I was doing my posts because every chemist I went to, I would do a video and I would post it. So on the tour, just to give you the numbers, it was 2,500 kilometers over 9 days, 26 towns, and 102 pharmacists.
There's the map, George.
And someone on one of the trolls said, what's he achieved? And I think he said sweet fuck all. So SWF, right? So then my answer to that is I've probably achieved more in one day on that tour than he's achieved in his whole lifetime. So, and the thing is, it might not be obvious, but certain things happened on the tour and I don't need to know straight away that it did something. You know what I mean? Somebody don't need to say to me, okay, I'm going to stop doing it right now, which is nice. It would be great. But you're planting seeds, right?
That's
so all
right.
I'm doing is planting seeds. I'm actually giving them, some of them, knowledge that they don't have. So again, when they get trolls on there saying, oh, stop annoying pharmacists and stop giving them your bullshit and all this, I'm actually just giving them facts that
These
they
trolls
should
are
know, right?
taxpayer
That's all I'm
funded,
doing.
I
I'm just
believe.
educating them, right?
Yeah,
so
they're either funded by Big Pharma or funded by government.
absolutely. I know.
You do
I know.
this
Look,
line. There's a line in your book. So not everyone can do everything, but everyone can do something. And
Yeah, I
sometimes
love that
the
line.
world
Yeah.
needs you. That's a great line.
Yeah, I love that line. You're right. Look, and the fact is, out of 102 pharmacies, right, probably 20% were still jabbing kids, which is frightening, right? Because it's now 14 months since the directive came out not to inject under 18-year-olds because it's too dangerous. And the large print on that document says children were never in danger. So they don't know this. So that's just telling them that could
They
make a difference.
vaccinated millions and millions of Australian children, many of whom may suffer the consequences for the rest of their life. It's the greatest medical scandal in Australian history. Just mind-blowing.
Well, we just interviewed Robin Cosford, Professor Robin Cosford. She's going to come back on.
Right.
In the last 4 years, our children have become staggeringly more unhealthy. We got 940,000 children now on the NDIS who need NDIS cover.
Wow.
And everything's gone through the roof. It's a whole army of kids that can't work, or young people.
That's frightening. And, you know, John, just for that reason, if, say, out of that 20%, 10 of them went and looked up the stuff and stopped doing it, it might save a life. And I don't know, because there could be consequences, good ones down the line, because of that. But unless you do it, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing I found doing it again, this for me was probably the most shocking find on the tour, was that out of 50 pharmacists who asked this question, probably 8 said yes. I asked them if they knew who Anthony Fauci was, and out of 50 of them, maybe 8 had heard of him. Right, that was it. And I'm like, what? How can you not have heard of him at all? I mean, at all.
Pharmacists.
Yes.
Oh, it's mind blowing.
And only one of them was awake out of the whole 102 pharmacists. And he was telling me about Fauci, saying, oh, yeah, I was watching the court case. And he was saying he loves watching Rowan Dean. And we were having a really good chat about it. And out of the others who knew who he was, 2 of them said to me, when I explained what had happened in reading the recent Senate hearings, they said, oh, well, that's America. That's nothing to do with us. We don't have what to do with America. And I'm like, what? I said, no, he shaped world policy. Don't you know this? And they'd be like, oh, no, that's not what to do with us. So there's also that. But the ignorance is what really shocked me, because unless you know who he is and what he's done and why he's in the Senate hearing, it doesn't actually make sense otherwise, you know. If you, how can you not know
Fauci, but you didn't have to read very far or look very far to realize that this man should be in jail, as should some of the perpetrators in this country. They knew very early that this was going. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago talking of levels of ignorance, and he was going, and it's finally filtered through that the COVID story never added up. And he said, but at least some people acted ethically. Bill Gates was the best. Oh, right. Yeah, right. The man who invested, billions and made hundreds of billions off this scam.
That should tell you everything you need to know. That comment should tell you everything.
I wonder if it'd be the same for doctors, George. I bet it is. I know I've had other doctor friends tell me that doctors have never heard of Fauci or mRNA. They don't know what mRNA is.
Wow. And they're still giving it out and saying, yeah, pregnant women, fine, go for it. So it's like, wow, shocking. That's scary as well.
That's a really explosive find, George.
Isn't it? I think so. Because I thought after a while, I thought maybe I should be asking them that question, because I thought, let's start asking them that. So I started asking all of them. And those who didn't know about him, when I explained it, some of them were like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. This is the guy that made up all the rules that we followed, and then he admitted he made them up and he was lying about things. Yeah. But nobody, maybe there were 2, were absolutely devastated by me giving them that information about what he'd actually made up, like the masks, the lockdowns, all that. It was like, yeah, oh wow, really? And but not like, oh my God. It wasn't like a shocking find. To me, that would be shocking, right? But I'm like, and what I did was later on in the tour, I changed the way I approached the pharmacies, because I kind of did it on the run, because my approach is always evolving. But near the end, what I thought was, because everybody out there was really interested in who I was, that kept coming up. Who are you? Where are you from? And normally what I say is, oh, I'm just a concerned member of the public, right? Usually that's enough. But I thought, okay, I'll try this, because they like authority, obviously, right? So I thought, let's give them a bit of authority. So they said to me, all right, so where are you from? Which organization? I said, I'm from the National Cease and Desist Project. And they'd go, oh, okay. And then they talk to me, there is a Cease and Desist Project, which is what I was doing, right? But it's not an actual governing body or an organization. So, but you can, because it's national. It's like a lot of people are doing the pharmacy thing. So that now gets more traction. So I'm going to, and if I do it again, I'm going to use that all the time when I approach people, if they want to know who I am. And so look, fascinating. As I said, 102 pharmacists, only 1 was awake, which made my day that day.
I think for people who don't know, maybe we should just backtrack a little and explain how you got involved and what you were actually doing, basically marching into pharmacies and giving them cease and desist notices to stop the COVID vax, which had 1,200 side effects listed by Pfizer, and nobody even knew that. Nobody knew anything.
No,
it's amazing, isn't it? And all these people, you have to be in the top 2% to get through to a medical degree. Basically, you have to be the top 2% of the population's IQ, right? And these people, you would normally think, would be able to reason their way around something, but they don't. They haven't.
No.
Unbelievable.
And that's also a scary thing, right? Because one thing I noticed that, especially in the smaller towns, the pharmacists knew everybody. You know, like, hi, Fred. Hi, Felicity. How you doing? And I thought, well, that is even scary because those people trust them because they're part of the community. And the fact that they trust them implicitly and what they've done to them is even more shocking. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, because I noticed that a number of times. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Great to see you. Yeah, dude. And I'm like, wow, that's okay. So back to what I do and why and how it started. The Chemist Whispering, I do Forest of the Fallen, right? I think most of the people who are watching will know what that is. That's a memorial.
Yeah, but the general public or an American listener might not know.
Okay, yes.
So just imagine someone from America or outer space. Much the same.
Okay, outer space is good, right? So, Forest of the Fallen is a weekly memorial that we do. It's a memorial to some of the people who've passed away and some of the people who've been damaged by the COVID vaccines, COVID bioweapons. And so what we do is we set these, they're on bamboo sticks. They're about 1.5 meters high. And there's an A4 laminated sheet with the person's photo and story on there. So it's their story. They've written the story, right? And we put these
incredibly
out.
moving. If you just walk through and go, so-and-so 18, so-and-so 23.
Yeah, different ages. There's babies, children, teenagers, older people. And what we do is we put out these sticks, usually on a beach, sometimes on the grass, depending on where we are. And we go to a different place each week. And we used to put 600 out. So 600 people have been damaged and about 70 who died, right? We don't do that anymore because the effect, even if it's small, it still looks like a forest, and that's the effect. And when the wind blows, it's really pretty because they all sort of sway in the breeze and it's quite touching, right?
Yeah.
It's very humbling, by the way, when you do it. And what happens is people walk past and they stop and look. And we don't cost anybody. We don't go up to anybody at all and start hassling them. We let them stop and look. And if they stop and look, we go up and say, hi, how are you today? Do you know what this is? And then from there, you get a conversation, right? And some people tell us their stories. And a lot of people have got their own sad stories, tragic stories about what happened to them after getting the jab, right? And some of them...
A lot of people, a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people stop every time we do it. And they come, and some of them, I ask, look, would you be happy to tell me that story on camera? Because it may help other people. And I do an interview with them, right? A lot of people still don't want to do that because they're still scared of reprisals, even at this date, right? From family, friends, work, whatever, which is bizarre, right? But they're still afraid of that happening in case people see it. So I tell the story on camera myself. Like I say, I just spoke to someone and this is what they told me. So sometimes when I get interviews, I had one a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and it's just gone crazy. This guy's tragic story about his wife. She had to get the jab. She was, I've forgotten what it's called. It's where you look after newborn babies. You hold them and you make them feel comfortable when they're first born. And for that, she wanted to keep that career. So she got the jabs. And then after getting the jab, she literally had died 8 weeks later or something ridiculous. And it was a problem with the brain straight. And he knew that. And he tried to get the batch numbers. His daughter, who was a nurse, said, Dad, get the batch numbers. We need to look into this. They won't give him the numbers. They won't have anything to do with it because, oh, it's too late. She's already died. You don't need that. And that's where it stayed, right? This was 4 years ago. And he never got the shots and his daughter didn't, and she lost her job as a nurse, but she knew what was happening. She had
Are there any stats on how many nurses and how many doctors lost their jobs?
I don't know them. There could well be. I don't know if there's exact numbers.
I don't know those either.
It's significant. But
It
The
would be. It
nurses
would
are
be
more
significant.
significant than the doctors. I think there's a well, I know
Yep.
most a handful
Yep.
of the doctors.
Yes, you'd know
And,
all the doctors. There won't be that many.
There's only a handful of doctors,
Yep.
but nurses, there's thousands
Yep.
of nurses they lost who wouldn't take
Because
it.
I
And
remember
all
meeting
out there.
some nurses. I met some
Yeah.
nurses at one of the marches, and they were saying, yeah, they knew, excuse me, loads of nurses who wouldn't do it and just pulled the plug and left the careers. So that's the Forest of the Fallen, and we do that every week, and it's really, I think it's one of the few things that works. It's actually getting traction. It always has, and now even more so because it's subtle. You know what I mean? We're not actually forcing anything on. We're not telling anyone anything.
No,
They're
that's
coming
right.
to us, and if they want to come to us,
It's
I say to people, "And how are you? Are you okay? Did you have to get the shots to work or to try?" And they'll tell me, and then I'll go from there. So that's how we approach it. And now what I'm finding more and more is I get people coming up to me and saying, "Yeah, I got 1 or 2 to travel or work or whatever, and I regret it. I wish I hadn't have done it. I should have held out, etc." So that's a really effective thing, but it's quite heartbreaking as well when you talk to people whose lives have been destroyed. There was a woman a few weeks ago, again before I went on tour. Her and her husband were there, and she said, "Yeah, my son's got myocarditis now." And at his school, one of the mums has formed a group, a women's group for mothers of all the boys at the school who've got myocarditis, and there were quite a few of them. So, and the lady was devastated, and so that's the sort of story you get.
The beauty of the Forest of the Fallen is that it's art. It's actually art installation. Installation art. And John, it was created by a single mother called Selkie in Launceston. That's where I found it. My only claim to fame is I christened it. I came up with the Forest of the Fallen.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
I found it, did the first documentary, and then I was touring Victoria with 100 of them and planting them in towns, and that's one of the reasons it took off, as that people could actually see it. But the beauty about it is that it's literally art. And she lives. They've got that great thing in Hobart, that great the modern art. It's got a funny name, modern art. They will not touch it. So this is the greatest.
Really?
They can have up to 150 of them at one point. Were planted all over Australia, all replicating Selkie's work, which is unprecedented. And yet the greatest modern art gallery in Australia, or the world really, won't touch it. And the reason the Forest of the Fallen is what you guys say. You can't say it in a negative way. That's why we used it. So if you put it in the paper, try say Forest of the Fallen as though it's a disgusting thing. You can't do it. And so if you go in the paper, the Forest of the Fallen, you go, what's that? That sounds all right.
Yeah, what a crop, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? So it's really beautiful to see it still going on. And but so yeah.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why
Mona Art Gallery.
Trust
Mona.
Do you think the whole COVID scandal is one of the reasons why nobody believes the government anymore? They don't believe we're being lied to about climate change and mass immigration.
Yeah.
Because they lied about
something. I mean, look,
so direct and so personal.
It's not everyone. Look, George said that most of the pharmacists hadn't even heard of Fauci, and so
but the general population is extremely distrustful of government now.
I think that's changing. I think there's more and more people now knowing they haven't worked out that it's all connected, but they're starting to see individual instances where, hang on, that doesn't sound right. Oh no, I don't believe, I don't agree with that. So that's happening more and more. And that I think could be because I think a lot of people now, deep down, they know, like if you look back, right, at some of the stuff that people did, they've got to say, well, that was stupid. Why did I do that? You've got to now. You can't just say, well, that was a great idea. That wearing a nappy on my face in the middle of the park when there's nobody there. Great idea, that. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. So people are slowly, but I don't know how long it's going to take for to be enough of a mass awakening.
I worked for News Limited for many years, and I was wondering how I would have behaved if I'd still there, had young kids underfoot, and I was a single dad a lot of the time, and what would I have done? Would I have just lost my life, which meant I couldn't pay the rent, I couldn't look after my kids, all of that, or what would I have done? I really
Well, I just talked to a guy the other day who works
in.
in the TGA. He actually got a job in the TGA. He's unvaccinated. They
Right.
don't know, but he's working in the TGA now. He says not only are there really nice people working there, but none of these scientists actually work there. They all work from home. So he can't figure out how they work together as scientists to study anything when they're all working from home. But that's the thing. He said they're good people. And I think that's one of the things, George. It's not like we think, oh, these people bad people did all this, so everyone's evil. But I think everybody thought they were doing the right thing. That's the trouble. They thought they were doing the right thing. The marketing was, if you took it, you were a hero. You were saving society.
Yep.
You were taking one for the team. You wear the Anzac running over the trench into the machine gun fire. Now you're finding out, yeah, but there was no machine gun fire. They'd already put the bomb in your veins, mate.
Yes. And it's interesting what you said, John, about what would you have done, because one pharmacist I spoke to, and this was one of the memorable encounters, was I went into, and I can say this because it's not racist, he was Asian, and I went in, and it was a little pharmacy tucked away somewhere, and I went in there, and I said, hey, how you doing? My name's George, and I've just got a few questions for me. He looks at me from the back counter and he says, am I in trouble? I said, oh, maybe, you might be. And then, but he said it in a funny way. And then he says to me, look, I'm an Asian guy and I sell drugs. Of course I'm going to be in trouble. Exactly. So I did as well. So from then on, we just had a good laugh. And he said, well, how can I help you? And I told him about it. He said, you know what? He said, at the beginning of COVID, I had two young women coming here doing the same thing you're doing. They said, look, I'll get into trouble if I don't stop. And all this other stuff. And he says, yeah. And I said, that's interesting. And he says to me, well, I had to get 3 jabs to keep my license. And I said to him, excuse me, I says, was it worth it? I says, because it's your health. I says, you have to make that decision. He says, yeah, but I had to do it because I've got to keep doing my job. I said, well, you know, that was up to you, but I know it's a tough one. But he was open to having a chat, and he was quite funny as well. And we were just laughing. And then he says to me, I've got a question for you. I said, okay. He said, well, how come 2 years before COVID started, he actually said we had a test for it 2 years before, but I think he meant how come we had a vaccine 2 years before it started? And I said, oh, because it was all planned. And he looked at me and said, was it? I said, yeah. He said, wow. He said, that's incredible. But he took the cease and desist. He says, all right, thank you very much. And I said, look, great talking to you, man. Thanks, and have a great day. But he won't give me his name. But I found out someone else knows him because he's such a character. And the way I remembered him, why it was striking was, I don't know if you remember an old series called Monkey. It was to do with Asians, and it was set in China from many years ago. And they all had that. What's that?
Tripitaka, Pigsy, Fishy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they had the long hair.
It was
and
a huge show in Australia. We were all mad about it as kids. It was a top rating show.
Very inscrutable. He looked like that. Yeah. And so we were long hair and we're just laughing. And I thought, well, he's actually okay. He knows now. I think he already knew. And he said, oh, we're not doing many anymore. And I said, oh, that's great. So he was kind of one of the few standouts for me. But you want me to tell you about how the Chemist Whispering started? Then I'll tell you more stories about the tour. Okay, so at Forest, I'm good friends with Rosie, who runs it, Rosie Marshall. She runs the Forest on the Northern Beaches, right? And one day she said to me, this is like 2 years ago.
Is this the angry grandma?
The angry grandma, that's it. Yeah, the angry grandma. Don't mess with her. Don't mess with her. She's a serious warrior. Don't mess with her.
Oh, so, she is, man.
Anyway, so she says one day, look, I started going into pharmacies and telling them if they're still injecting people with the COVID gene therapy to stop doing it because they're going to be liable. And I'm filming it. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I thought to myself, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I've got to do something else as well as the Forest. So I started doing it. And it was pretty nerve-wracking, right? Because I'm trying to hide the camera, even though I've got to hold it here, down there somewhere, so they can't see they're being filmed, and talk to them. And I did that for like maybe 8 or 10 pharmacies. And then a lady rang me out the blue called Sarah. And she said, look, I've got an idea that I want to do. I've got this vision and I want to know if you're interested. She said, I've got this vision that to get people to go into every pharmacy in Australia and give them a cease and desist notice and tell them to stop doing it. Otherwise, I will be liable. I've had a cease and desist written up by a lawyer that she knows. And she said this was given to Tedros, you know, the main killer at the World Homicide Organization. So it was given to him, the same document, and I'd love people to do it. And are you interested? I said, yeah, I'm in. So she sent me the documents, and then I started doing that. So I started going to pharmacies, not filming anymore because I found that logistically really difficult because I'm holding the papers here on a clipboard and I've got the phone here and I'm like, nah, this is too hard. It's too hard. I'm going to stop the filming because the cease and desist is more important, right? And I'll film it when I finish. So that's what I started doing, going in, having a chat, going outside and then filming what happened, talking to the camera saying, this is what happened, this is what they said, etc. So that's how I started, right? But the way I got the name of the Chemist Whisperer was my approach, because initially it was a bit more confrontational. So I'd go in and say, oh, look, do you know that if you're still doing the COVID shots, you're going to be liable? So that was the start. So straight away, it's getting the back up a little bit. And I found, now that's got to be a better way because I've got to make it, this has to work, right? So then I thought, okay, let's try this. So I softened it, I softened the approach. And I started telling the pharmacists early on in the piece that I was doing them a favor. I would say, look, I'm doing you a favor. You probably don't know this, but, and then I'd give them the spiel. And that worked much, much better because obviously they're more open then. And some of them would be happy to engage. You'd still get people kicking you out and threatening you with the police, excuse me, and calling you things. But, you know, that it's the lion's den, right? So you accept that. You've got to have a thick skin. It's not for the faint-hearted. So that's how I went on. So that's why it was called the Chemist Whisperer, because I had a very gently, soft approach. I'm always friendly, personable, smiley, ask them how I am, have a great day. And whatever they say, I never get loud. I don't shout. I don't do anything. I just say, hey, thank you. All right, thanks for your time. And I'll leave. So that's worked really well for me because at this point I've been into 423 pharmacies and I've given out 288 cease and desist. So I know I've done it for a while and I know how to do it.
Do you believe the Australian politicians were bribed by Pfizer, 15 or 20 million or whatever? Was that why they acted the way they did? It couldn't have been out of ignorance because they were still, Brad Hazard in New South Wales was still going on about, get the vaccine and everything. When it was someone sitting in this remote place where I am could work out that it was a scam. Lots of people around the world were warning that this was the wrong way to go, and yet our politicians went full on in. Do you believe they were bribed?
Well, look, first of all, Brad Hazard, don't get me started.
Oh my God.
The thing I keep remembering about his nasty face is that I remember him gloating when he had, I think it was 20,000 kids in the stadium at Homebush, and he injected all of them. They wouldn't let the parents, and he was gloating about that because it's, we've got all these kids jabbed at the same time. And kids were fainting, being taken away. And now...
some died, apparently.
Yeah, really? and now the government's come out and said but children were never in danger. So what was the point of getting them locked up and jabbing them? And he was going
one explanation is that these people pocketed 10, 15, 20, 25 million dollars each and were prepared to betray the Australian population for money.
Oh, look, I
think the more dangerous thing is that they weren't that.
When Berejiklian
is that true or not? Who knows?
They got like a massive grant. They got like 50 million or something to keep working on vaccines or something. They got a massive grant, and obviously
research
some of that
funds and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yes, but whether they were all paid, look, I don't know. They all got something out of it because they knew. If we knew, they knew, right? It's not like, I found this document. No one's seen this except me. I'm like, no, I don't think so. They would have done the work. They would have done the research. It can't be that many people who are that stupid. So there's a reason they did it, whether they were paid or bought off.
Do you think it's that they're true believers, though? I mean, Kerry Chant hasn't been paid. You see her; she truly believes.
Jeez,
and you just wonder. I think that's more dangerous.
She believes what did she got $60 million grant or something for Sydney?
Yeah, but what I'm saying,
great mate at Sydney.
You believe so much, you believe so ardently that you're doing the right thing. Like they think they're the heroes of the time. The world's going to be destroyed. They're saving the world. They're doing things that are bad, but they have to do it for the greater good. And when they finally start seeing the evidence, that's when they're like, oh, bullshit, 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 until there's so much that they go and then they resign.
Yeah.
And because they all resigned quickly. Like Hazard is suddenly
Very,
gone. I heard
very
that
quickly.
Yeah.
I heard that his brother was gone. Even the others, all the ones that gone suddenly went. I actually haven't met seriously evil people in my life. I've met a lot of people. I haven't met anyone that's seriously evil. And so I don't believe there's enough evil people around the world to do this to us. I think they're believers. They're just believers. And you read Vaccine Amen by Aaron Siri, and he says, no matter what evidence you give to these people, they truly believe vaccines are safe, miraculous.
Yeah.
It's a theological decision.
Well,
I think it's a lack of God, and that they've replaced God with science, and science can do no wrong. It's not a real science. It's a core belief that us as humans are greater than what nature throws against us.
Well, they did. A lot of them, you're right. A lot of them do actually believe it. I spoke to one pharmacist on the tour who said to me, guess what he said? He said safe and effective. And I nearly started laughing. I thought nobody said that anymore. I nearly started. I'm good at keeping a straight face, but I'm like, come. And then he says, oh, look, I used to work with RNA technology. Yeah, it's great. It does. And I'm like, I don't think so. And I said, here's your cease and desist. He said, I'm just going to put it in the shredder. I said, I don't care. Do what you want with it. But you've got it now. Right. Yeah. And that was the other thing on the tour. Probably, and this was quite unusual, probably about 10 people, and 9 of them were men, turned the cease and desist down. They would say, no, I'm fine. You can keep that. So they know what it is. But the trouble is they don't know enough, because once you've seen it, it's been served, right? So it don't matter whether you turn it down or not, but I didn't bother telling them that. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, the safe and effective, people believing, well, look, just the thing about Fauci, the fact that he lied about the mortality rate. He knew it was 0.02%, and yet he was pushing 2%, which is pretty scary, right? But 0.2, it's not even flu. Right? It's not even a bad flu, right? But he knew that at the beginning. And if you tell people that now, and I've told them all the way through, like, oh, no, it was really bad. And well, no, it wasn't.
And that's just all come out.
Sorry?
That all just came out with the 80, whatever it was, 80+% of miscarriages in the first trimester.
That as well. Yep.
He knew that and advocated pregnant women to get it. I mean, that's just criminal misconduct. And
Same here, John.
Same here.
Same here. And the only pediatrician that stood up, McClendon, was basically, I think, deregistered. One doctor in Queensland who came out and said, this is happening, and the whole country turned on him. This is what I'm saying. There's some strange, it's deeper than just good or evil. It's people.
Alex Antic was one of the only politicians in Australia, Senator Alex Antic in South Australia.
I mean, look at the bird
flu. The only politicians. It's still up on his website. They're trying to get rid of him now. They're running a candidate.
Yeah, that's right. They are,
yeah.
I'm at my parents, so I'm watching TV for the first time, and they're pushing the bird flu, and they're all like, they're going to inject the penguins, like they're saving the world. I did this today. I watch.
There's not one single case of this in a penguins they can
but
find.
It's safe and effective. But you have to wear a mask.
and you're looking at this stuff, thinking this is the madness of them, though. And then you go back to the Nazis, and you realize that they're true, but people can be made to believe anything, and then suddenly that's the real danger, George.
Yeah, they can. They can.
Yeah,
and look, there was something that happened the other day. I'm trying to think what it was, and it was it was someone believing something or someone doing something. And I said, first of all, I thought, no. Then I thought, no, I can believe people could do anything now after the last 6.5 years. Whatever I can't remember what it was. It'll come to me while I'm talking. It's in here somewhere. I don't know if it was on the tour, but something happened. And I'm like, and I'm like, oh no, I could see it. I could see it because of the insanity that took place during that time. But look,
I I'm just putting up. Anyone wants to buy George's book? It's right here. Let's go to his website and get it there. George Kesic, The Chemist Whisperer. I've read it too. It's a fantastic read.
And it's got an award. It's now a literary titan.
Oh, you're a multi-award winning author now.
Multi-award. It's chilling, actually. It's chilling how my thing was one where the security guard is sort of defending the chemist, getting you out, and yet he's on your side. And yet for a pay, he'll stand, they're the scary ones. The scary ones are the ones in the middle who don't stop it. The true believers say like the three of us, I'm an anti-vaxxer. John over this side is a true believer, and George is the middle. And it's the middle group who know it's dodgy, who still take it, who give it to their kids, even though they know it could be bad. And just, they're the terrifying ones because they're the architects of history. What they decide is the way we go, even with us just going, hey, man, this is nuts. No,
That's that horror revelation out of The Origins of Totalitarianism by Hannah Arendt, that the totalitarian instinct in humans, it's in all of us, that we are all capable of that insanity.
Yeah, I know. And it wouldn't take much. That was the thing that blew me away. It took, how many years did it take to get rid of apartheid in South Africa? 50 years, 100, whatever. And here we got it in 2. We managed to instigate it in 2 and everybody loved it. And I'm like, what?
Oh, I love the vax and the anti-vax.
Yeah.
One of the most moving things right early in the book is the whole, which I really related to. Your mum died, I think, at 95, and mine.
Oh, that's terrible.
96, yep.
More or less in the 96, more or less in the same year and under very similar circumstances. She had fought against, she was a deeply religious woman and fought against the medical profession all her life. You couldn't get her to take an aspirin. And then she ended up at an old age home, unfortunately. And she's listed as a COVID death, It's just like, and this is a woman that never went to a doctor, would rather die than go to a doctor, sort of thing. Really distrusted them for religious reasons. And just shocking. And she died, thank you, Brad Hazard. We were all surrounded by strangers in the full PPE gear, like dying in a science fiction movie. None of the family could see it because none of the family were vaxxed, or almost none of the family were vaxxed. So she just died, isolated, alone, broken, sad as sad. And it was just terrible death. And I just, to this day, I blame Brad Hazard for that bullshit. And you talk to some of the staff, they were really angry about what went on. They were really
I think that was one of the 2 main things that was so horrible about COVID, was that not being able to see dying parents. Initially, you couldn't, and everybody had to wear the PPE and all that rubbish to people, and you couldn't go and see dying relatives, especially after we had Freedom Day, and then if you weren't juiced up, you couldn't go in and see dying parents. And that was, and that to me was the most horrible thing, because that meant old people died alone. And so you see the logic there. I never got that, because if you were going to see a relative who was dying or soon going to die, what's the problem with COVID? If you give it to them, even though you're healthy, you give it to them, what's the difference, right? Are they going to give it to you though they don't have it? So why wouldn't you let people go in and see, you know what I mean? And just going back, and that to me was the most horrible thing, separating people. But that was part of the plan, right? But the thing, going back to your mum, look, my mum, believe it or not, I found this out a little while ago now. There was a guy that was a friend of my sister-in-law, and he was helping mum with a lot of stuff, right? He actually took her to get the injection because he was a believer that the vax was going to save you and all that rubbish. And I said to mum, you don't need it. You don't need it. You're healthy. You're okay. You don't need it. It's just a cold, whatever. Anyway, she listened to him. She went along. And he told me once, I don't talk to the guy anymore, but anyway, he said one day when he was having a rant on one of my posts, he said, it was listed on the death certificate that it was a COVID death. And I said, you what? Are you crazy? So that's what they put down. And this is a woman who had, well, read the book. She had pneumonia when I went saw the last time in Christmas 1999. She got it, and that usually knocks the oldies off, right? Pneumonia knocks a lot of them off. Yeah. She had it for about 4 months, and when I was staying there with her, we'd be watching TV. She'd be on the couch asleep, and I'd be sometimes I'd be scared she'd stop breathing because she was really crook, and I was worried that she was going to pass away while I was there, right? So I'd be going next to her and listen to see if she was breathing. And that was good. And she got over it. It took 4 months, but she got over it. And I'd ring her up when I got back to Australia. And then she told me around the time of her 96th birthday that she'd got COVID. And so I'm thinking, oh, old, she's had pneumonia. I'll keep ringing. So every day I'd be ringing her up. And she says, oh, stop ringing me every day. She was as strong as an ox, did all her own shopping, had stairs in the house, lived by herself, had all her marbles, right? All her marbles. And then she said, stop ringing me every day. So I rang her once a week again. And then after she'd had COVID and got over it, she recovered after like 4 days. She got over it 6 months later, whatever, 4 months, they gave her the jabs. And I thought, who gives a 96-year-old woman who's had the virus and got over it, who gives her the vaccine after that? You've never done that before 2021. And then she just went downhill like that and just died quickly. And I think her kidneys were knocked off. So I won't be surprised if they were giving her something nasty in the hospital as well, to knock her kidneys off. So that was the start. And I knew I couldn't find
remdesivir.
It could well be. It could well be. I think they were using the other one in England. I can't remember which one it was.
And fentanyl.
Midazolam. It might have been that.
And the thing is, John, they've proven this in England now. Only doctors are supposed to give midazolam and fentanyl because it's so dangerous. And yet they were letting nurses give it, or even less. And so it was almost like I hate to say it, a genocide. This is what's been coming out of the old people in nursing homes everywhere. And then if you think really like what the show we did with Robin Cosford, there's so many people unwell now that there's not going to be enough healthy people left to work, pay the taxes of the country, pay the debt that the country owes to the world, and care for all the humans that need caring. So what we're seeing in Canada, maids, which is medically assisted suicide, and that's becoming like the biggest killer of Canadians. And so basically it's an abattoir for the poor and unwanted. So they're basically normalizing killing us.
Euthanasia. And they've just started euthanizing people who've got COVID jab injuries. I mean, what a bloody how incredible is that? They jab them up, they get them sick, they can't recover, they don't want to live anymore, so then they help you by knocking you off. I mean,
and a lot of those COVID people, the ones I've talked to, injuries, most of them have spent well over $100,000 on their recovery, or trying to recover. Where's that money go to? Big Pharma. So they injure you. They basically suck all the dough out of you, and then they knock you off. And they've even BlackRock and all these places, because we're going around, they're buying all the funeral places. so basically, as soon as you're born, you're injected with vaccines. So that's the new christening. It's a religion. It's the new christening. You have no choice. You're vaccinated all your life. And if you get sick, well, there's plenty of medication from the people who injected you. And then once they can't get anything else out of you, straight to the funeral parlor, and they get money too. So you're basically a golden goose who is, that's really what's happening in the world, And unfortunately, people are about as dumb as geese. So they're falling for it. I hate to say it.
Mind blowing. It's a really, there's so much interesting material in this book that I might just look at one little bit, for instance. So there was a pharmacy, I think it was opposite where you lived or something, and you went in there and I'll just read this section if you don't mind. That same pharmacy.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it, Joe.
I'll put the link up.
Still injecting. When I showed him the directive, that is that not to give it to children under 18 because they didn't need it and it was dangerous. When I showed him, and that's a government directive, when I showed him the directive, he didn't even look at it. He said he wasn't, this is the pharmacist, he said he wasn't interested and walked away. The government itself was now saying the injections were too dangerous for children and he didn't care. The directive even stated that children were never at risk from COVID in the first place. Still, he ignored it. It was staggering. Field note: when authority silences critical thought, the pharmacist that doesn't make sense response summed up the entire medical establishment's position: blind trust in government protection, zero personal accountability. Logic simply couldn't penetrate the conditioning. This encounter marked the deepening divide between truth and denial. Yes, that's just one little snapshot out of the book.
I saw that guy twice. That was in 5 Doc. He was a piece of work. He so the first time I saw him, I told him about the cease and desist and how his insurance won't cover it. He said, no, my insurance is going to cover it. He said, look, what you're saying don't make sense because the government's supplying us with the stuff. So, of course, they're going to look after us. I said, no, you better check it with your lawyer. So that was the first time. The second time I went back with that, which was the under 18s. And I said, are you still doing it? And he said, yeah, we are. I said, well, you're not supposed to be. And I showed him the thing. And like as he walked off, he wasn't interested. I thought, well, he knows. And I'm telling him he knows that. And he's still not interested. I thought, how arrogant is that? And that's one of the
How much were they getting each shot? How much were they getting paid by the government for each shot?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
They were getting paid, but they also lost, John, because we've got a pharmacist in Darwin, Lee, and he said they can't give it away now. So they bought it in. They actually they haven't done it for years. So they've lost lots of money that they've got there. So that's what I've heard.
The vaccines are way down.
Yeah,
I've just become a grandfather with twin
but look at
identical
bird
boys.
flu. I'm sorry, people are worried about the bird flu. Not everyone. We're laughing and joking.
Yeah,
but I think we forget that we're in the small bubble, even like this internet bubble. Like here, we think everyone thinks like us. We are unicorns. Other people out there do not think like us. They don't care about us, and they didn't die. They skipped a beat. There are people waking up, but there's still a huge mob that don't.
How does jabbing penguins make sense?
And
they do it.
Penguins are going to be sick for the rest of their life.
They do it with a straight face. I saw it like to basically. There was this saying, we've got the science now, and the scientists behind. And you're going, what are you talking about? Yeah, they live in water, as if they scared of bird flu. They live in, are you kidding me?
Hey, look, it's I don't know what you're laughing about, because when I was coming back and I was staying in Nelson Bay on the way back just before I got back home, because it's my favorite place, I'm leaving the beach, and as I'm leaving, there's a beautiful lorikeet just sitting there on the branch here, and I'm like, hey, careful, you might have bird flu. So that's what it's come to. You're thinking like that. No, I wasn't. But anyway, so it's
I just love it. Some scientist has got to go out there and say, "What's your job?" He goes, "Well, I've got to go jab a black cockatoo." So that's
good luck with that.
That's what he's
but
doing.
it's just
I was in Vietnam last year, and down the beach resort area, and there were 4 people out there in the waves, all wearing masks.
No. Oh, John, no.
How does that make any sense?
No.
You're in the surf, in the sun.
Stop it. Well, before I went away, I was going to one of my favorite cafes in Sydney, right? So I'd just been doing some training. I parked the car. I was getting out. I looked across. There was a husband and wife sitting at a table outside in that cafe, and the woman had a mask on. And I'm like, and she was taking it off to have a sip of coffee. I'm like, I'm not going in there because I've got to say something. I've got to slap her and I've got to say something, so I'm not going in. But I'm like,
just cough. I cough when I walk past them. I walk really close and go, and they go,
well, look, when I teach my capability training now, one of the things I say, like I taught a group of 7 15-year-old girls about a month ago, and I said to them, look, one thing you can do to stop people attacking you, or as a deterrent, is you just do a really big and you threaten to spit in the face, and that'll do it, right? Because they'll all be scared they're going to get bird flu or COVID or something. So that's a great deterrent. So how's that for self-defense? But look, the tour was long. It was I'd never done it before. It was I knew it was going to be big, but people said to me, oh, look, why don't you meet up with this group? Why don't you do that? Why don't you take your pickleball paddle and find places to play? I didn't have time to go to the toilet. I couldn't turn around. Like it was like a full-time job plus homework. So like I'd be hitting the chemist at 8 a.m. and I'd finish at 3:30. Then I'd usually, sometimes a bit later, then I'd find my digs. Then I'd have something to eat, have a shower at 7 o'clock. Then I've got to do my homework, which would be prepping for the next day. It would be putting out my videos, transferring them onto my laptop, it's 10:30. And that was like every day I'd be getting them doing that. And some days it'd be 15 pharmacies. Most of the time it was the timing had to be right. It's like a military operation, because if I was 5 minutes out, even 5 minutes, and you've got 100 of them, that's a day, right? It's a lot of time. So you've got to get it right. And I kind of worked it all out almost to the minute. And it fitted in pretty well. But shit happens that you can't expect. Like
it was amazing, the contempt that they showed to anyone who didn't believe. I mean, I gave a book called Unfolding Catastrophe Australia. I wrote about the first 18 months of the COVID drama, and to the local doctor at the medical centre, and they were very much, you could see that they just thought I was some mad bat conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Probably don't think that anymore, but they did at the time.
I don't know though. Can I just say, this is things you're seeing now, and you might see this too, George. Like, I was somewhere recently where some people I sort of knew who used to be very fond of me but aren't anymore, and one of them brings up that his wife is waking up at 3 a.m. with migraines. He goes, she's never done that in her life. And then they're going, oh, it must be that they didn't have coffee. She must be missing her coffee. And then he, who's super fit, is going, he's having heart issues. So he can't drink coffee because he gets all heart issues. And so I finally pulled him aside and said, mate, I know you don't like what I do, but you need to get this checked out, because these are the symptoms. Talking about, it's gone. Just doesn't want to hear, even though they've got 2 beautiful kids. And if they go, it's all nightmare, but they just can't, it has to be, I find it fascinating. Like, on their deathbed, when they're just dying, do they suddenly go, do you think this was the jab? Or do they protect those who have killed them to the grave?
Yeah, probably, because you're too far invested. They're too far invested emotionally. They can, because if they suddenly turn around and say, oh, actually, I have met a few people who've come to that conclusion. One of the guys at the forest, same thing. He had heart attacks or a stroke or whatever, and he didn't equate it and all. Then later on, he went, oh, hang on. Yeah. And they woke up. So that it does happen, but I think it's rare, actually, really rare, not the rare as in it happens all the time, but the other rare. The real one. People say it's rare. You never get that illness. Myocarditis, that's rare. No. One pharmacist actually said to me, this was a standout. I told him about the court case, right? Melissa McCann, class action. He said, oh, they'll lose. I said, oh, what do you mean? Oh, they'll lose because, there's nothing wrong with the vaccine. They'll lose. And I said, if people get sick now, they're going to come after you because the government's washed its hands of it. They're throwing you under the bus. And he says, they'll lose. And he said, and you know what? There's research now, he says this to me, there's research now that says getting the COVID vaccine reduces heart damage. And I looked at him and I said, are you actually joking? Are you kidding? And I just walked out. And I'm like, what? That's the, it's not there.
And the other one said it protects fetuses. It actually protects fetuses. They're actually saying that. It's a lie.
Oh, shit.
I mean, but the reality is, for someone like you, George, who's going in there with the truth to these people who we think they are the truth, pharmacists, you know what I mean? Doctors, we think they are, and instead, we're realizing that most people want to go through life, they don't want the truth. I think Winston Churchill said once, most people go through lives and never see the truth. What they do is they stumble over it once or twice, brush themselves down and go straight back into the lies. And that's how, something like that he said. But that's what I'm seeing. People don't want to know. Yeah. Even to this. I mean, they've injected their kids with this stuff. The girls are infertile. We've just heard now from another doctor that he's been talking to young guys. They get together. They can't get it up. They can't get erections. And no one will talk about it because it's so shameful. But basically the boys can't procreate, and the girls are infertile anyway. All this is happening, and silence. The news is on like, here today, down at the footy thing, this man caught the ball 40 times. Right, like that's all that matters. There's something insane going on where the survival instinct of people has been switched off.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
switched off.
Very strange.
They say COVID was a prelude to something bigger and nastier and more evil. So what do you think it is?
Whoa,
Is the whole depopulation argument correct?
yeah, that of course that's still
they
the
preparing
eugenics.
the
It's still
field for
going on.
AI?
It's still going on. Yeah. The eugenics. Oh, there was something. Oh, you've just made me think of something else. What was it? Oh, I heard this really, really scary thing the other day. A really good explanation of all the tactics that we use, like the lockdowns, the mandates, the mask, all that stuff. It was really good, and it explained it beautifully. All that stuff, to flatten the curve. It was all to delay the solution.
Herd immunity.
Yes, it was to delay that, because remember they said there's nothing you can do. Go at home till you get the vaccine. If you get the vaccine, turn blue, go to hospital, then you're going to die there. But and that made perfect. You like that? That made perfect sense. Delaying it, because it's the only disease I've ever heard of, and I always remember being really nonplussed by this. They kept pushing not to catch it. I've never heard that before. You catch something,
that's right.
Here's how you fix it, right? But I always remember the whole thing was don't catch it, because if you catch it, you're going to die. That was the inference, right? You're either going to die or give it to next door's grandma. She's going to die. But not, and I thought, well, that's bizarre. You can't not catch something. What's the point? Because it's got a survival rate of 99.9. So it doesn't matter. If you've got an immune system, which I think we have, it will look after you. But that wasn't what they were saying. So that makes perfect sense, that drag it out until, something happens. And that's why, if you remember right at the beginning, I remember keeping records of this at the beginning from October 2020 to February 2021. Nobody died of or with COVID.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then we got locked down. After that, we got locked down. I'm thinking, but that's odd. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But of course, it makes sense now, right?
The Australian Bureau of Statistics actually has in 2020 0 died of the flu. 0.
I know, 2 years. It went on holiday. Yeah,
went on
the
holiday.
flu went on holiday with common sense.
In the statistics now, they've removed 2020. The Australian Bureau. Yeah, this is what Cosford said. They go 2019 and then 2020. They go, it doesn't fit with the thing, so they've got a technical name why they removed it, but they go from 2019 to 2021.
George, I know one thing I wanted to ask you. You might know the answer. Is so when they say they recalculated excess deaths, which was say running at 30,000 or something, was a common measure of how many people were being injured by this, by COVID or by the vax, and they recalculated the way they count.
The excess
deaths. Do you understand how they did that? What was the technical thing that they did?
Look,
recalculate.
It's quite complicated, but it's how you measure an excess death. And from what, it was just the way they did that. And then what they did was it just looked a lot less. And then they moved it back. So they actually, what do you call that when you take it, use it years before?
Precursor.
Yeah, you just take it back 3 or 4 years and say, this is how we've always done it, but they never did. So then it looks like there's not been...
I wonder if that's why 2020 was removed, because no one died, and it makes the look...
It could be. And even 21, 22, 23, it won't look as bad as it was because of the way they've calibrated it.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating.
The mean average or something. They've raised the mean, because they had these D-dimer tests.
Yep.
I interviewed people that said they raised the threshold. So there were people out there with blood clots who didn't know, because they all raised the threshold for the phlebotomists.
Yes.
So instead of like 50, went up to 200, which was seen, and that's for pilots as well. So the pilots flying around with blood clots who didn't know.
Oh,
but George, can I tell you, George, what I'm really interested in is how you say you're on day 4 and you've had some good experiences, but you're still seeing this ignorance. How do you not get the ignorance sort of basically taking away your energy, like flattening your... It's just like getting to a point of going, why am I bothering? I mean, here are all these chemists. They don't even know who Fauci is. And they're just injecting everyone like they're pillars of authority. They have no idea what they're doing, And they must be seeing vaccine injuries and go, it can't be me. So how do you not let the apathy and the great indifference wear you down and still get up and still proceed forward?
That's a good question. That's a good question, Mike. How did I not let that get to me? Look, knowing that I was on a mission, right? And it didn't matter. It didn't matter what they said, what they did. I'm doing it, right? I've got to keep doing it because yes. Because it's making a difference
for everyone else.
Because it's making a difference, right? I believe it's making a difference. And even if I plant one seed in one person's head and that stops them doing it and it saves one person, it's worth it. It might save 10, 20, 100. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't know. But I believe it could.
There's a chance.
I believe it could. Yes.
If you stay at home just whinging, there's no seeds. You're out there. There's a chance. Just
correct.
A chance you might
and that's all you want, right? You need.
Yeah, great. I get it.
You need to know there's hope. You need to know there's something can happen and will happen. You've got to believe it. It's like I say on my show. You know, if the stars align, they always do, but you've got to believe it and hang in there long enough. It's hanging in there long enough. That's the thing, because it's easy to get despondent. Like I couldn't look at the tour as a one thing because it was overwhelming, right? 102 pharmacies, 26 towns, you know, 2,500 kilometers. It's too much. So I had to do it day by day. And then I had to then even break that down. And I made some really good decisions on the tour that helped me combat what you've just said, because I could have got burnt out. I could have got despondent. But what I did was and this came about because I actually woke up on the Wednesday morning, day 3, 3:45 in the morning with vertigo. And I'm like, oh, shit, that's not really ideal. I thought I can't drive around too much with vertigo. And I'd had it like 2 months ago. Suddenly I woke up and I woke up in Newcastle and I'm like this, whoa, in my bed. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not good. What am I going to do? And the idea was I was supposed to drive back that day because I'd missed 2 towns because my assistant had said, whichever towns they were ahead of Charlestown, but they were behind and I'd driven past them to get there. So I thought, shit, I've got to drive back half an hour, do them and then go forwards. But when I woke up with vertigo, I said, no, maybe that's my body saying, don't drive back, forget them and move forwards. And so from then it made me think, okay, if I can now, I have to be in Nelson Bay to stay there Wednesday night because I love being in Nelson Bay, and I'll stay there Thursday night. And I'll have a really easy Wednesday if I can plan it right. I'll have 6 pharmacies to do. So it's like a day off, right? So that's what I did. I managed to do that. Then I planned it. Once I had 2 nights there, I started to think of it in blocks of 2 days. So then I had 2 more days before my day off. So it was Friday, Saturday. Then I had the day off on Sunday. And then Monday night, Tuesday night, I stayed with some friends up at Kingscliff. So the fact that I managed to get 2 nights in 3 different places made a massive difference to me. So I started to think of it in chunks of 2 days because I could handle that. Because I knew each day I was doing like 15, 16 pharmacies. I spoke to an ex-pharmacy rep when I did a talk at my place, Gold Coast, before I came home, right? They invited me to go and speak there. And Kevin, who runs it, he and his sister, he said to me at the end, he said he used to be in Big Pharma for 30 years. He said to me, when he was talking to the audience, says, what George has done is remarkable. He said, pharmacy reps, when they were going around selling stuff and pharmacies loved them because they were selling stuff, he said they would do 8 a day. That was it. They couldn't do any more. They'd drive from one place to another. And George has been doing 16 and he says non-stop. Right. And it's not, I'm not getting any warm fuzzies. Nobody wants to see me there. Right. So they're not saying, oh, George, it's great to see you. No, it's not. Get out. Actually, I did get kicked out of one. I haven't been kicked out for ages.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. Oh, where was it? Shit, I don't know. But I went in and the guy comes up to me and I said, hi, my name's George, and I've got some questions for you. He said, well, you know what? When you go into a place and you've got a pitch, you should tell them all your credentials at the beginning. And that wasn't a good start. Anyway, I started to tell him about the court case and stuff. And after he knew what it was about, he says, I want you to leave now. I said, oh, all right then. Thanks. Have a great day. And I gave him the cease and desist. And he said, no, I don't want that. I said, all right, fine. And I walked out. So I got kicked out. So I haven't done that for ages. It was great. But
Wow.
going back to the talk on the Gold Coast, they were really interested. And one of the people there had been in a pharmacy once before, but had been shouting at them and telling them they were killing people and all that. And I said to him, that's not my approach. I said, that doesn't get a result. In fact, you know, you get the backs up, it doesn't get a result. So this is how I do it. But they were very receptive. It was great talking to them. And it was kind of a good way to finish the talk. Because like you said, the way I worked it out to have 2 nights in certain places and break it down, it helped me keep going. So whatever the responses of the pharmacists, it didn't bother me. Like I'd let it go and then move on to the next one. I thought, and when you did get a pleasant response, it made it a bonus. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't expecting that. So like the pharmacist that was awake, and I had a couple near the end. There was a really nice pharmacist that came over and he listened to me intently and he says, it's great to meet you. Thanks very much for coming in and for this. I said, you're okay, you're welcome.
Wow.
So I had a few like that, but not many. And
Yeah.
that makes it more worthwhile. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Makes
but
it
there's
more
hope there.
bearable. Yeah, and hopeful.
What if someone said to you, George, what are the lessons you've learned of this period of time in humanity? What some lessons you might have learned from this tour? What would you say?
Lessons.
Have you come away with anything that you didn't have before? Because you're going all these new chemists, meeting these people. I mean, they didn't know Fauci. That's staggering.
Yeah, that is staggering. The lesson is we are definitely in 2 bubbles. There are 2 worlds. There's still 2 worlds. However, that is your algorithms, what you're seeing on the news, what we see as algorithms. Because, you know, people say to you, oh, well, I don't look at, Facebook. That's where you're getting all your information. I'm like, well, no, I actually follow people who are experts. And then I go and look at what they've got to say. So you've got a different opinion, right? Instead of all just, and that shows that there's still 2 very different things. Also shows there's still no critical thinking. That's the other thing I learned on the tour. There's still so many people.
Seriously?
Just no idea.
If you had to list the people in Australia who should be jailed for their behaviour during the COVID era, apart from Brad Hazard and Scott Morrison, who else would you list?
Oh, loads. All the politicians, all the doctors, all the politicians, everybody, all in prison, all of them. The sports stars, I'd take everything away from them because they contributed. All the entertainment stars, take everything away from them. Throw them in prison, leg irons, see how they like it. And they'll say, oh, but I didn't know. I said, well, actually, you were causing children to get the jab.
You must have known.
You must have known. And if you're not even interested because you're getting big bucks, that's even worse, right? So yeah, I jail a lot of people. I think you need bigger jails. You need more
Daniel
jails.
Andrews, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Daniel Andrews, what a horrible piece of work.
But the real thing is not jamming people. The real lesson to learn here is for all of us. I mean, look at Shane Warne. His son comes out in our world, say our internet world, and clearly says the jab killed his father. And I never watch TV, so sitting down with my mum last night because that's what she does, watches TV. And there's Shane Warne's son on TV being interviewed, talks about his father, in-depth interview, never once mentions the jab. So in their world, they're not allowed to mention it. In our world, he gets on and says the jab killed him. And that's how he lives in 2 worlds because their world doesn't
obvious
want to know.
from the start, you know, it was a COVID shot.
Yeah.
But apparently in Thailand, they had it on the front paper that his room was covered in blood. He had he bled out through an ulcer, and that caused it. So it was covered in blood. We found those pictures, put it up thing. Everyone's attacking. No. They absolutely are protecting the lie. So it's almost like they've accepted our new world is based on lies, and that's why we don't debate. We don't debate climate change. We don't debate trans ideology. We don't debate jabs. We don't debate anything because we know we're living in a world of lies, but we're happy with that because there is more liars than truth seekers. And that's what makes us safe. What if it's as simple as that?
And the other lesson from the tour would say is you have to keep going. You have to keep doing things because they're not going to stop. And you have to, and at some point you've got to bring back normalcy, if that is a word. And that's going to be hard to do. But
will I do my little
you heard the great joke about compliance with the Pope?
No, but you're going
That
to tell
they
us
go
because the
to the
Pope's
Pope.
coming out. You know, he's going to do the halftime show at the AFL, I think.
But the Pope goes to the window and looks out, and there's like 1 million people roaring that they love him. We love you. This. You are, you're God's representative of earth. We love you. And then he goes back in, and the physician says to him, goes, look, you need a new kidney or you're going to die. So unless God can produce a new kidney. And he says, well, you got 1 million people out there. Why don't you get one of them to give you a kidney? He goes, yeah, I will. He goes back out there. He goes, listen, I know you all love me, but for us to continue God's work, I need a kidney. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this feather over the edge, and whoever's head it lands on, then you'll donate my kidney. And they're going, yeah, drop the feather, drop the feather, drop the feather. And he's so overwhelmed. He comes in, he's wiping tears out to the beauty of it. And he's just waiting to hear which one it is. And it's just silence. And it's after about 10 minutes, he goes, the feather must have landed on someone. And he goes out there, and there's 1 million people going, that's
Very
the world
good.
we live in now. They on their face, they believe it, but it's communism. But underneath, they're not taking the vaccine at all. So yeah, vaccine works, but I'm not fucking taking it. So it's almost like a communist way of surviving, keeping their virtue signaling poster up to the world that they're on side, or underneath, they're really loving people like you, George. I mean, look, I survive. I don't get any dollar or anything. I survive on people giving me stuff, and they go, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what they like about us. Same with you, John, and everything. But they keep their public face on to like hedge their bets,
So will I do my little wind up or what?
You do, mate. Yeah, I just want to say congratulations, George. It's incredible what you do. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I just think I'd get too fatigued, or I just want to fucking scream. So
you'd be standing in the middle of the pharmacy screaming at me, you murderers!
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, bull in the china shop. That'd be you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's great. I think it's great what you're doing, and you're right. That sentence that John pulled out, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. That really stayed with me too. I thought that's the way to go. All the battle of the little waves. So yeah. How do you feel after coming back though? Last question. How do you feel when you've got back? What's the feeling?
Again, that's good question. Well, coming back was I drove 2 hours in the morning. Oh, that's right. One thing that happened was, I'll just tell you this because it's quite funny. You'll appreciate this. I'm not great on directions. When I used to live in Saudi Arabia, the tennis court I used to teach on was literally, 200 meters from where I lived, and I could see it. And the joke was, when I'd go to the courts in the morning, I'd put birdseed down, so I knew how to get back home, right? So people used to joke about that. So that's how good my directional sense is. And I used to go scuba diving, and they'd follow the crew, and I'd go this way off to Bahrain, and everybody'd be going that way. So the sense of direction is I'm not great at that, right? So, but you can't be good at everything, right? So, part of my trip, I was driving from Newcastle to Raymond Terrace, which is half an hour, something like that. No, it's not long. No. Anyway, so I'm driving. I see the sign to Raymond Terrace coming off, and my GPS says keep going. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's a turn off further up that'll take me closer. So I go past. I'm driving. 20 k's later, I start seeing these signs that are nowhere near where I know. I don't know any of them. I'm like, shit, where am I? So I pull over, and my assistant says, oh, it's 20 k's back that way. You've gone past it. You've got to go back. So I'm like, oh, shit. So I turn around and go back down the motorway. 20 k's. I come off the motorway, Raymond Terrace, and I come off. I come back round. I come back on. I'm driving up the motorway again. I start seeing the same signs I've seen before. I'm thinking, oh, that's good. That's familiar. I know where that is. And then I get back to the same spot I left. And I'm like, oh, shit. I've come back to where I was. What's going on? I'm lost. So I've driven 20 k's down. I've come across and gone 20 k's back up. So I pull in, panicking. I'm like, oh, my God. And I said to my assistant, what's going on? I've got lost. Oh, you should have got off at the bottom. You don't come back up because it's 20 k's back that way. So I'm driving back down the motorway again. And I look down at my petrol gauge. And I remember my wife saying before I left, make sure you've always got lots of petrol because you're doing lots of driving and you don't want to get stuck in on the motorway. So I'm looking down. I've got 10 k's to go. I'm almost on red. And I'm going, oh, my God, if I get stuck in the middle of the motorway, this will be so stupid and so embarrassing. So then I just started laughing. I just said, I don't care. It don't matter. It's just stupid. If I get stuck now, it serves me right. So I came up at the bottom, got the petrol, and then found Roman tennis. It took me an extra hour on my journey, so I was really not impressed with that at all. So that was one of the funny things that happened. And the other one was, one day I was absolutely flying. I had to do Nambucca Heads somewhere else in Coffs Harbour, and altogether there were 16, I think, to get. There were 3 in the first place. I did them easily. There were 3 in Nambucca Heads. I did them easily. It was like 9:30. I'm like, yes, I can actually chill for a minute because I'm going to get to the other ones easily. It was Saturday, right? So I'm sitting down. I think I'm going to treat myself to a coffee and croissant. So I'm sitting down in this cafe. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm taking my time thinking, you know, it's Saturday. I wonder if any of them are going to close early. And I'm sitting there saying this to myself while I'm drinking the coffee. So then it's 11 o'clock, 11:15. I saunter back to the car. I drive to Coffs Harbour. I get there 12:15. The pharmacist has closed. It closed at 12. And I'm like, oh, no, what? So then I get onto my assistant. I said, look at these other places. Tell me if any of them are going to be closed. It says the next one, you better get there quick. It's closing at 12:30. It'll take you 11 minutes. You should just make it. So I'm breaking all the speed records. I'm driving to the other one. I get there 12:30. They're closing the roller shutter. I'm like, come on. This is ridiculous. So then my assistant says, your third one's closed as well. Don't worry about that. Go to the last 4. So I go to the last 4. I do them, and then I go to Woolgoolga where I was staying that night, and they're both closed in Woolgoolga because it's Saturday. And I'm like, oh my God, that's stupid. So I learned my lesson. I didn't stop for a coffee and a croissant again on the trip. I just did my work and then had a break. But coming back, I told you that story because on the way back, I stopped off at Coffs Harbour to the pharmacies that I'd missed on the way up. First one was open. And it was the lady who, she was shutting the roller blind. She was a pharmacist. And I actually followed her down the street the first time I was there and accosted her while she was getting into a car, but she was with a friend. And I said, look, I just got something for you. And he said, oh, can you drop it off on Monday? So I said, well, and I didn't want to give her a cease and desist in the street. It looks like I'm stalking. And I thought, no, I don't want that. I don't want the police coming on, arresting me for stalking, right? I'm a long way from home. So then I went to see her again. And she remembered me, and she was very interested in the court case, the class action, and in Fauci. Didn't know who he was, very interested. She says, thank you. I'll give that to my boss. I said, great. So that was worth going back for. The other one wasn't actually doing the COVID jabs. And the third one was on the other side of Coffs Harbour, so I didn't bother. So I drove straight back there, 4 hours from there to Nelson Bay, where I got back for lunch and had the evening there. And then chilled out, and next day I came back. And coming back it's nice to be home. It's nice to be back. I tried to make the trip. One of the unknowns for me was, what am I going to be like on the road in a different place every night? Because I've never done it before, right? I like my home comfort. So I took like my packet coffee that I like. I took that with me, so I'd have one every morning. I took a nice bottle of red with me, my favorite red. So I took that with me on the tour as well, a couple of bottles of that. So again, it could be like being at home without there. You know what I mean? So that was another thing for me. But being back's good. I'm still kind of trying to filter it, you know, get it, write down what I did. And I'm actually going to try and make a documentary out of it all because I've got all the videos and everything. So I'm going to take it to someone and say, put that together as a documentary and give it back to me. So I think that would be the next logical step.
We got to wind up. Got to wind up.
It's welcome to join.
The way the forces are closed.
Okay, we're going out with the
talking with George Kesic. He's the author of The Chemist Whisperer, a story of courage, compassion, and integrity in action. It's an absolutely great book, and it's an easy read. It's all like paragraphs. It's very direct. It's profound. It's interesting. And as they say, history is made by those who leave a record. And George, nobody believes the official record. Nobody at this point. And people like George are creating history by leaving a record of what really happened in Australia during these terrible years. So thank you. Thanks for coming on. Nice to meet you.
We're going out with a song called Waiting for Jesus. And this could be for John because they're both of you. The first line is, I was waiting here for Jesus until I realized that he was here waiting for me, saying, we have to do this. It's stop waiting for someone to save us. We have to do it ourselves. So this is a new song here. So go from there, George. But well done, man. You're a legend. a legend.
Thank you.
So
Thank
you
you.
think did.
Thanks.
Really
Thanks,
good
John.
book.
Thanks,
Really
Mike.
interesting. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. See you guys.
Was waiting here for Jesus until I realized that he was here and waiting for me. I was waiting here for Jesus until I realized that he was here and waiting for me to set him free, to set him free. Oh my Lord, please help me set you free. Set you free, to set you free. Oh my Lord, please help to set me free. He said, you were never born to be slaves. I gave you all the tools you'd need to build a world where everyone could be free. But here we are helping them install the bars on our cage. Do you think this will benefit you or leave you wondering why I came? Do you think this will benefit you or leave you wondering why I came? Why did I come, my Lord? Can you tell me again why I came? I can't believe you gave me life just to be another man's slave. I was waiting here for Jesus until I realized that he was here and waiting for me to set him free, to set him free. Oh my Lord, please help me set you